I called it. That was fun.
That
I
was
called the
fun.
June 17th, 2025 regular board meeting of Glencoe Park District to order. Lisa, please call the roll and state the time, which is not 7 o'clock.
7:01. You just broke your perfect attendance starting on time record at whatever it's called. All right. Commissioner Hazen.
Here.
Commissioner, here we go. Avita Guzman. Can I? Thank you. Commissioner Guzman. That makes it a lot easier. Thank you. President Spain.
Yes. Okay. Consent agenda items A, B, and C are routine. Does any commissioner want any item pulled from the consent agenda items? Hearing none. I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved. You say so moved first, and he says, okay. So moved.
You guys have to work hard tonight.
Yep.
Sorry.
Second. Yes.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen.
Present.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Because yes. There you go. Commissioner Guzman. President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. Okay. You're from the auditor? Yes, I remember you from last year. Okay. I was just checking because we take public comment. Okay, well, I think I think you're next.
Yeah, we are.
So well, that's great. Okay, John, did you want to do the introduction?
Sure. Joining us tonight to present the results of the fiscal 25 audit is Jamie Wilkie, partner with Lauterbach and Amon. She's going to go over the deliverables as part of the audit process and just kind of give an overview on our financial statements.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening. Good to see you again. As John indicated, I will provide a high-level overview of the audit results for this year. Really three key documents that we provide. So the audit itself, the management letter, and then what we call our SAS 114 letter, which is our standard communication to the board. So I'll briefly chat about each of those. Much of the discussion this evening will be centered around the audit. That's obviously kind of the more key document and component. Certainly want to start by thanking the staff. I know both John and Brian are here in attendance, but they really do an outstanding job preparing for the audit each year. This is truly a 6-month process from start to finish. So we do meet with them just prior to the close of the fiscal year to talk about any changes for the year, gather information regarding planning questions. We then go through preliminary testing, which focuses on the Park District's internal controls. And then finally, our final field work testing, where staff provides kind of that final set of financials that we then audit the balances. We have multiple draft versions, and then obviously kind of the end result is tonight's presentation of those final deliverable documents. So I do want to point out a couple of items within the report. I will provide just a couple of brief page number references. So as you have a chance in the audit document to kind of toggle through those or look at them at a future date. But I do want to start off on page 7 with the Certificate of Achievement Award. I mentioned this because this is another outside review of the annual audit each year. So page 7 of the annual audit provides a copy of that award. This is conducted by the Government Finance Officers Association, or GFOA. Really deemed the highest level financial reporting that any local government can undertake. So there are 2 key added transparency sections, I call them, within the audit. The first being what we call a transmittal letter, where John and team have provided some background information on the Park District, things like the local economy, major initiatives, some of those kind of goals and aspirations and things you accomplished during the year. The second added section, and we'll cover this just briefly, is what we call the statistical section, which is at the very back of the report, and really provides a wealth of historical information for the Park District. Immediately after the opinion, you'll find our independent auditor's report. I want to spend just a little time on this report in particular. So state statute in Illinois does require that within 6 months of the close of the fiscal year, each local government undertake an independent audit. What I will tell you is it has become more and more standard to have extensions and audits not being issued on time. So I want to just stress the quality of the preparation that the staff does here. I was at the village earlier this evening. They're a December year end. You guys are 2 months ahead of where they're even at from a presentation standpoint. That kudos really needs to go to the gentleman sitting in this room. We did not have a single adjusting journal entry. That is also extremely rare. So typically we come in for a government engagement and we expect to have adjusting journal entries. That means what we were presented with was 100% buttoned up. Extensive new standards were already implemented. Most of the time they're not, I'll tell you that. And so I really do want to stress just how on top of things the team is here, and the result is really a fast issued, clean, concise process and audit. So thank you both in the room. Yes. So the goal of the audit each year, in the opinion, is to be able to issue what we call a clean or unmodified opinion. That is fairly common, especially for LNA, because we don't really choose to work with folks who aren't going to have clean opinions either. Those tend to be communities or organizations that, audit firms don't like to engage with. So that is a common type of opinion issued. I think what's not common is all the things that I just laid out related to the cleanliness of the audit, truly. We are required, as I said, each year to take a look at internal controls as well. So part of that audit opinion covers the idea that the auditors have responsibility to look at controls, policies, procedures. We do engage in detailed testing of those each year. Certainly, if there were any exceptions to that testing, areas of concern, red flags, we would have to have those conversations this evening. And I'm happy to report we had no exceptions, findings, red flags, or any of those areas of concern. So truly the cleanest opinion that you can have. Immediately after the opinion on pages 14 through 20, I do want to just briefly point out one key section of the document. This is what we call management's discussion and analysis, or MD&A. Only 7 pages here. Instead of digesting 131, you get the executive summary in 7 pages. So the goal of this section is to really provide high-level overview of those results, comparisons to last fiscal year, commentary on some of the major transactions and balance sheet items that the Park District reports at the end of the year. So I won't go through those in detail, but as you have a chance to review those 7 pages, I always highly encourage our boards to do so. And again, that's pages 14 through 20 of the audit document. Last section I want to point out, I did mention as part of the award program, that's our statistical section starting on page 104. So we're skipping a whole bunch of pages. I do point it out because unfortunately most people don't make it that far in our audits. So really a wealth of information at the back of the report. If you're curious about the last 10-year history for the Park District, there is really a schedule for just about everything at the back of the report. So that will cover 10 years of history for financial results, as well as property tax data, long-term debt information, operating indicators, things like number of full-time employees. So again, from any board member, commissioner type perspective, there's really a wealth of information at the back of the document as well. I did mention we have 2 required communication letters each year. One is our management letter, one is our SAS 114 letter. SAS 114 letter is typically a standard letter that if you have nothing to report, it's pretty straightforward language. So we are required to report things like if we had disagreements with the management team, if we had found that there was a use of some outside specialists that the Park District engaged to be part of the audit process, if we proposed journal entries that the staff refused to post or would not acknowledge. So those would be the types of exceptions that we would have to report in that letter. And you guys clearly had none of those exceptions. So it's really the standard kind of template language related to kind of the audit process itself. Second letter is our management letter. This is always our opportunity each year to communicate things like new standards, any housekeeping type items. So these would be non-internal control recommendations or best practices. This year, we really just covered the new governmental accounting standards or GASB changes that are coming. We do have 2 on the horizon that will impact financial statements in the future. John is always well in advance of those implementations. I know John and Brian and I typically have conversations well before implementation, and they keep up with those standards. So I expect nothing less moving forward with the 2 coming. But the bigger one is GASB 103, which is kind of tweaking the look of the financial statements and refreshing some of the sections in the document as well. So we'll be working on new templates for certain things and coordinating with the staff to make sure that's implemented properly. And I will leave it at that and open it up for any questions that you all might have this evening.
They're speechless. It was so
And I'm
good.
sorry, it's a lot to digest. It really,
I've asked them in the prior years, so I want to give an opportunity. New board members.
sure. GASB 103 will have a time commitment. So we do draft your financial statements. So that is part of our kind of scope that we do with the team. John's certainly capable of drafting his own. I think most places choose not to because it's not the most pleasant experience. And quite frankly, we have software to be able to help do that. But GASB 103 will change a number of the schedules within the audit. A lot of it is presentation, but every kind of schedule that's affected will have to be tweaked, modified. Some new categories, the budgetary comparison schedules, for example, will have some added columns and calculations that'll have to be intertwined in the schedules. From staff's perspective, the management discussion and analysis, that executive summary we talked about, is getting a complete refresh. So that will kind of be a start with a template, but kind of a redo of what's currently in the financials. It's a little bit more, not as bad as what we've had to deal with in the past, I'll be honest. John and I have had some choice words for GASB, I think, over the last couple of cycles, but I keep calling it everybody's favorite 4-letter word, but yes.
I actually know the person leading GASB now used to be my boss.
Oh, Joel and I have a very close relationship.
So it's not necessarily maybe that guy. It's somebody who's like coming out with new standards and new questions, and he's on the board.
Oh, a board member. Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
I'm not,
so-
yeah, no,
So
so
like, I was just
Yeah.
talking about new GASB standards
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. yes, not
Yeah.
slowing down, but they are getting less cumbersome is what I would say.
Yeah, they're like whenever they, so I work in municipal finance,
Yes.
and whenever they come out with new disclosures, they survey the
Mhm.
investor community
Yep.
to see what we think
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
we're working on.
Yeah.
So, but they're about things that will not affect the park district. They're about things like disclosing levels of stress, which
Mhm.
we don't have.
Yes, that was actually a call I had today with the GASB about, it's a exposure, not exposure draft, preliminary views document on that topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's Jeff Pravita used to be my
Yeah.
boss.
Okay, yeah, I know the name.
And I just want to add, so Jamie had alluded to GASB 103, fairly minimal from staff's perspective, management discussion and analysis changes primarily. But as she mentioned, previously GASB's been pretty busy. GASB 96 has been a
beast.
real headache. And it's something that I just want to make sure, like it kind of flies under the radar for most, GASB 96, GASB 101. Brian's done a fantastic job, especially with GASB 96. There's a lot that goes into it for numbers that, you know, might not have a lot of discussion, you know, at this meeting, or really, to be honest, whether the rating agencies are very concerned with it is somewhat questionable too. But to make sure that we're producing those gap basis financial statements and able to produce in-house, we need to stay up to date on those standards, which can be time consuming for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Mhm. Yes. So 6 months is the general rule of thumb, and part of what John's alluding to. So a couple of these standards, GASB 96, which, as I said, the team here does an outstanding job. A whole bunch of entities, we've had to have multiple and multiple meetings and conversations on some of the technicalities there. You know, the standards have been cumbersome. I think we're going to see some relief in the future. There's a new kind of leadership in place at GASB, so that helps. But to John's point, there's a lot of effort behind the scenes before it even gets to us, quite frankly. So John would probably be a better assessment of time on some of those more complex, but you know, we'll see where the future lies. I would say back in the day, we'd have, you know, impactful ones maybe every 2 or 3 cycles, and now it seems like every cycle we have a new one to deal with. So.
Question. Really quick, behind you is Brian. He's John's accounting manager. So he's the one, you know, the dynamic duo is what I call them. They're amazing.
Brian did most of the work for this audit and CPA with audit background, so a tremendous asset to the
Yep.
Park District.
They both have an audit background, so we're very fortunate, which
Yeah, that,
the
that
results
always
show.
helps. Uh-huh.
Yes.
And quite frankly, the complexity of the standards is causing 2 things. One, I mentioned audits being late because, you know, staff doesn't have
Right.
the background or knowledge that maybe the team here does. And 2, firms are having a hard time keeping up with the standards. So we have way less government audit firms in the space than we used to even 5 years ago.
So why do they keep rolling out these additional standards so quickly then? Like, where is that? I guess as an investor.
Should I say my filtered response or my unfiltered?
Okay, so as an investor, right? I'm not asking for these things.
GASB would tell you you are.
Okay.
So there is definitely a disconnect, and I had the conversation. So the GASB director and the technical director flew out and met with a group of folks. And one of the things that I know I personally have been trying to advocate for is who oversees GASB and who are they trying to answer to? And I think we've strayed as an industry of what the answer is to those questions, because a lot, especially with GASB 96, there was a lot of pushback on that standard. And they kept saying that it was the investment folks and the rating agencies demanding those things.
Was that the one with like
The
Capital?
Sabitas.
What?
Capital is another one that they're saying the rating agencies
Yeah,
and
like
investors,
like
the categories of capital and more detail and depreciation and
yeah, depreciation of assets and okay.
GASB 96 is us having to evaluate and track all of our subscription-based technology agreements. So think of anything like Microsoft 365 licenses, our HR platform, but even small things like iCloud, Spotify. And we need to track all of these subscriptions because in the aggregate, you know, even though they're not maybe individually material, in the aggregate, they can be. So throughout the year, we're just spending all of this extra time on something that, again, Moody's in our rating call in January didn't ask anything about our subscription liabilities or assets.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as an investor, just not, just, again, not just
Yeah,
speaking.
yeah.
If the credit's a AAA, like stuff like that doesn't really matter that much.
Right. Yeah.
You know, we're really looking for ability to repay debt and something more serious. So, I mean,
We need you talking to GASB.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know, that's kind of negligible. At a
Yeah, you
certain
should reach out to your
level.
old boss.
I will. I'll send him a message. Say, hey, you're delaying all of the audits.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? I know this sounds great, but
Yeah.
we didn't ask for this.
Yeah,
Okay.
the recent standards are a huge contributor to the
Okay.
delay in audits right
That's
now.
so interesting because there's a lot of publications out there, like in the municipal finance world about late audits and speculation why, and then a lot of I'm sure you're aware that a lot of municipalities are getting their ratings pulled because
Mhm.
they're late. And as an
Mhm.
investor, if the audit's late, we don't invest. So that seems like a worse outcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in my opinion, for some standards that really don't add value to the financial statements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we don't need to be that detailed. Okay.
Sometimes less is more. That's my stance. And when you can look at a publicly traded company that's worth billions and their financials are a third of what this is,
Mm-hmm.
transparency for the sake of transparency isn't necessarily clarity.
Very true.
Maybe I will provide feedback. It's due at
There
the
you
end
go.
of the month.
I appreciate it. It is due at the end of the month.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely need more voices.
All right.
Great. Any other questions or statements? We're good.
Awesome. Well, it was
Thank
good
you.
to see you. Thank you for having me.
It was wonderful working with you again.
You guys as well.
Okay. Great. I always love these conversations. Sorry, guys.
I know.
I
that's-
got
no, that's
information.
Great. I love it. I love it.
Super useful.
Oh, yeah. They
I
work
keep
so hard on the audit. We like questions.
No idea. Like, there's a little bit of PTSD that I have from it, but yeah. But if there's some
Okay.
Amy, you can sneak out anytime. You don't have to, you know.
Well, and congratulations again on your excellent
Yeah.
work.
Yes.
That's like
Nice
no
job,
journal
Amy. Nice job.
provisions. That's insane.
Brian's
Wow.
quiet but mighty. It's just behind the scenes.
Yeah. Got the best audit
Yep.
financial team in
We do. We really
the
do.
United States.
Definitely in Illinois Park districts for sure. We really do. So
Okay. All right. So as you all are aware, we've decided to table the visioning exercise for the Glencoe Beach Playground and Spray feature. And given the nature of bringing third party in, and there's just three of us tonight. I don't know, Lisa, if you wanted to go over what your
Yeah.
plans are for the discussion.
I would. So yeah, we felt once we found there's another commissioner who couldn't come late in the day, this afternoon, that really getting an opinion of three commissioners and then not hearing the voices of the other two is kind of counterproductive to what we do. So our next steps are tomorrow at 2:30 to 4:30 and then 6:30 to 8. We're having our community visioning sessions. I sent all of you, the whole board, the slides we're showing, there's a little questionnaire for everybody to fill out. So it's going to be more of a fair format where you go up to the boards in either this room or in the lobby downstairs, depending on what's happening in the building, and we'll get feedback. And it's things like the theme of the playground. So that way, when they go into design, we're not designing something that no one really wants. So do you want the theme to be nautical? Do you want it to be natural? Kyle can jump in when I forget things. Modern or traditional? And then we'll ask questions of the size. Do you want a small foot, but medium foot, but large? Colors we'll ask about. We'll ask about water features. For the spray features, we'll ask about standalone items such as sand diggers and things like that. So we'll get more input, more guidance from what the community wants for these items. And then what we'll do is at the July 15th, is that right?
Yes.
July 15th board meeting, we'll bring then the summary of all those two community input meetings back to the board to discuss, and the board can then at that time go, oh yeah, oh, I agree with that. We want to look at that. It'll help our architects decide what kind of designs to bring back. So what they usually do is bring two designs back for the board to discuss. And if most of the community says, I want nautical, and the board agrees, then they'll maybe bring two nautical themed playgrounds back. If it was really close between natural and nautical, maybe they'll bring one of each. And so it will help us, drive those decisions and making that. So that way they don't design two big playgrounds and say, this isn't what we want. It all have to go back. It's very time consuming. It's very expensive for us too, because we pay for that time. So that's kind of the plan we're going. So tomorrow is the playground only, because people are usually very passionate about playgrounds. And then we'll have the same kind of community visioning session for the other amenities at the beach. So that would be the sun shelters, the terrace, the inside of the beach house, racks. And that meeting will be held
July 1st for
July
board.
1st, and then for the board. So we're still keeping that before, and the next day, July 2nd for the community. And so we'll ask similar questions to the community, like, what do you feel about single-use restrooms? What do you feel about outdoor showers? How would you like the shelters look? So we'll start pulling information, asking questions, kind of filling out. We do a lot of postcards with this because we don't want groupthink. So we don't want to take little dots and we want this, because then all of a sudden you have people like, oh, I'll feel bad if I put a dot down here. So we really want to hear genuinely what people want. With the playground, we ask a lot of questions. We hope people bring their children to it. We'll ask some of the camp kids too, take a little sampling about what they want, but we try to get community input. So we've really publicized those events. So that's the stuff moving forward. We have plenty of time. We are not going to begin any beach construction till the fall of 2026. So we hope to finish planning sometime in early winter, and then we go into detailed design. So that way we have all the permits, everything we need to start construction. Once we finished the beach season, Labor Day, the day after Labor Day, we will then start construction with hoping to be done by the next Memorial Day for all of it together. So that's kind of what we're thinking. Anything to add?
You
Did I miss
covered
anything?
pretty much
Okay.
all of it. Yep.
So it'd be done like Memorial Day of 2027?
Yes, correct. Yep. Yeah, it seems so far out. And then the only thing left would be the staircase going down, because we're redoing that. That's part of it. And then the retaining walls. We want to work on those again, just like we did on the other side, work with the village on that. But that will be the last thing. That'll be a separate project because, we don't want to bring equipment down, ruin the roads, and then do the roads at the same time. So we're going to do those separately next year. Questions? It's exciting. It'll be fun to see what people want. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it would
so
be.
I sent you the kind of the boards that we're going to be using tomorrow. You're welcome to come tomorrow and give input and kind of hear. Sometimes it's really fun to hear what the community says. And then, or you could just fill out your little postcard, send it back to me also, either way. So your voice is, because you're a citizen too, is heard with all the other voices. So. All right.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda, we have an update on the financial report. So 3 months of the fiscal year complete. And the report's available in your packet. John is going to share a synopsis of the report and answer questions.
Thank you, President Spain. We'll keep it rather brief tonight. Just want to point out we're in the midst of updating our first quarter projections, which we'll be able to present at the July board meeting, where we'll have a more in-depth financial update and kind of year-to-date results compared to budget through quarter one. Really, the only thing I'd like to mention tonight is a number we're somewhat focused on this time of year, which is our beach revenue. Obviously, we've had some unfortunate weather with some of the northeastern winds. So our past sales are expectedly down by approximately $30,000 year over year. But we're looking at some 90-degree days in the future here. This weekend, I know, is going to get pretty hot. So we're optimistic that we're going to be able to catch up on that number and be able to provide a better update later in the summer here.
What happens if we don't catch up? Like, I guess,
Yeah,
is
so-
that a big deal?
Well, obviously we are, reducing expenses, mainly payroll with the hours being reduced or the services being reduced due to the weather. So there is some offset there. At the end of the day, if we don't hit budget, it's part of the general fund. So, it kind of rolls into those numbers and potentially could offset, better than expected results with other accounts. The beach has been one that's fluctuated since I've started. I know we had that really large COVID bounce. And then, slowly have seen those numbers come back and seem to level off last year. And again, I don't think we're really panicking at this point. I think with the warm weather coming up, we're optimistic that we're going to make it up.
Usually we see passes come in with the first really warm spell. It's a little later than it normally is, but hopefully this weekend we'll see that pick up. If not, sometimes it kind of shows itself in the fund balance transfer at the end of the year, but so that's a possibility. But it's right now it's about 30,000 off, right, Bobby?
But 20 of that's resident passes. So they're
Okay.
and a little bit of Northbrook and some guest passes. So hopefully residents are going to visit the beach. I think what people are, there's such pent up demand to go to the beach now with the weather. That's what we're hoping for. And over the last number of years, we use a 3-year rolling average when we're budgeting, but about 6,000 passes every year. And it's been pretty consistent with that in the last couple of years. So hopefully it kind of stays at that kind of medium number.
And we do have a big special event down there this weekend that we've really been promoting. And you have to have a pass to go to that. So that usually draws in some people if they really want to go to this event. It's the
Summer Splash,
Summer Splash. Thank you.
5 o'clock on Saturday.
We have fire twirlers or
And
something
there's
like
going to
that.
be steel drums and
Steel
there's going to
drums
be
and-
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So bouncy houses. And
Can you clarify the passes? When you say passes, you're saying daily and
so we
annual?
do 2 options,
Right.
which I'm going to talk actually in a bit more depth in a few minutes, but we do the daily where you can pay the daily fee.
Right.
Which is limited to Monday through Friday afternoon. And then we have like an all access 7-day a week while we're open pass, which is our traditional beach pass that we're referring to. We do about 6,000 of those passes a year.
Okay. And both of those are down.
Yeah, very much so. And the dailies are way down because nobody pays to go to the beach when it's 15, 16
No, it's been
degrees.
It's been awful, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's June. So July, really, we've seen the shift and don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much, but July, August, September has really become the new August. September is kind of one of the better
And
times.
it's kind of frustrating because all of our lifeguards go back to school.
Yeah.
So come Labor Day, we do not staff the beach because we just don't have the staff to do that. But the beach is still open as a park, and a swim at your own risk type thing. So
I guess that's a question I was going to ask is there contingency plans or like backup plans to capitalize quickly on like warm weather like we have right now to make up some of that?
So we'll add additional staff to help with processing passes. We're going to do a social media post as well this week saying avoid the lines at the beach because the last thing we want to do is come down on a Saturday and Sunday and have to line up to buy a pass. So we'll do that. We'll add some additional staff at the halfway house. Occasionally you get some brave teenagers going over the bluff trying to get in for free. So we kind of try to stop that from happening, but we do add additional staff. And I think our staff are itching to work because we cut staff down pretty significantly in the cooler weather.
yeah, they want to work. So yeah. But other than that, I mean, if we don't get them, probably by after July 4th, we see a drop off of passes. So we're hoping for a good stretch of
Mhm.
warm weather before that. And then 4th of July, you have to have a pass to get down also. So that's a big driver if you want to go
Correct.
that day. Especially if the weather's nice. So.
Oh, we still have the financial report though, right?
Anything
That was
else?
just the beach.
Yeah,
That's pretty
if
much
there's
it.
any other questions on the report, I'd be happy to
Put into
answer them.
the other report, but that's okay.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I was like, just wait, that was only the beach. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the biggest financial thing we're looking at right now.
Okay, but yeah, it's still early is basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, we're on to the executive director report.
Right. At the end of the report, Kyle and Bobby are going to give kind of a brief synopsis of what programs and what we're doing for park maintenance at the start of the summer. So we're going to go over that in a little bit more detail. I'm just going to bring up a few things. Obviously, our big special event for the year is Glencoe's Independence Day celebration. July 3rd is when we do the fireworks. And for the new board members, we shoot off the fireworks on the beach. So we have to close the beach on July 3rd. And then you watch it from above. And we have a band, we have kids entertainment, food. It's a really fun night. So hope y'all can be out there. We do keep the boating beach open until about 6 o'clock. So there's a separate staircase for them to go down for that day. On July 4th, we have the 2-mile fun run in the morning at 8 a.m. It's a traditional fun run, but it's short run. So it's fun watching the young kids and parents run. Then early childhood games. We have a bags tournament, which is new last year. And so this is the second year. It was very popular last year. And then the village does a parade. They run the parade. However, we do put a float in the parade. So if any board members and their families want to ride the parade float or walk with it, their Carol's signed up. There you go. Just let me know. Just email me like, yes, we want in and how many people. We usually have the commissioners walk to hand out candy. So we kind of give you a little workout.
I have
but-
a convertible. I always wanted.
So.
They always have convertibles, right?
The village puts convertibles
Oh,
and everything.
convertible,
We
okay.
have we usually do a float and we have a tractor that pulls it because
All
it's, a float. But but if you want to, if you want
For
that.
sure.
Um,
That'd be fun.
and then there's a beach party at Glencoe Beach that day. So, just let me know if you want to participate in the float. It's kind of fun. We will be inviting, campers again but we started a couple years ago after what happened in Highland Park is that the parents have to walk with their campers if they want to participate by our float. We don't just take the kids anymore. With our counselors, we chose not to do that. So the parents are more than welcome to walk with their kids with the park district. We put them in their shirts and stuff like that. So that's fun. I just have to say that I'm really proud of our staff. We are the largest employers of high school and college kids. And we do such an extensive job of training the staff and getting them ready for a great summer. Usually, they come back years later going, wow, you guys really set me up for success in other jobs. So we're really proud of that fact. And this year is no different. So they did a great job. We already talked a little bit about beach and they'll talk a little bit more. Other than that, we have been really busy with Children's Circle graduations, ELC graduations, converting kids changed room in Children's Circle, and then just really getting ready for our camp started Monday. So we've been busy with that, which he'll talk about also. We have extensive amount of special events. I put some of them in the report that are coming up. So those are always good things to come out and as a commissioner, come and look and participate and meet the communities and things like that. Last Saturday, we had our Glencoe 500. I don't know if you ever saw that, but we have the little cars the kids drive and they have race around the track. It's adorable. Michael Covey and I were at the Boards and Bites, which is a village wide partnership with the school district, village, library, and the park district. And we usually have their executive directors or managers there, superintendents, and then a board member. So Michael Covey represented the park district on that on Saturday with me. And coming up, one of our most popular one is the beach camp out on July 18th. I really think it's a tradition that board members have to do the sleepover in the tent, don't you?
They do.
Oh, I'll be there.
I think it's been, no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
It was like the most sleepless night of my life.
We're done it.
It is pretty
It's a family
amazing.
Tradition.
It is pretty amazing. Yeah. I love it. But as far as that, we have all the construction updates in the packet. We're really just in the design development stage right now, so no construction has started. But all of our projects are moving along at the right pace, so we're excited about that. And we'll bring back something for the maintenance at the July committee meeting. So that's the next time you'll see that. Shelton gazebo is being refurbished this week, so that's being done. So I also put in there for your reading pleasure, IABD, the spring legislative session ended.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that was happening in there. So I put that for you and I'm not going to read in great detail. But I'm going to throw it over to Bobby and Kyle to talk, to give you kind of a summer's operation review, what we've been doing in the district. So.
Absolutely. Good evening, commissioners. Yeah, very high level introduction of what's going on in the Park District this summer. So summer is a very busy time. Obviously, the beach is front and center, and some of this will be a little redundant. We've already kind of talked about this. Just wanted to give a high-level summary of the operation of the beach itself. So it opens Memorial Day through Labor Day, 10 to 7, 7 days a week, subject to weather, obviously. We are closed July 3rd for setting off the fireworks, so we're open every other day. It's treated like a park the other times of the year, so we don't have staff down there, but the park staff does treat it like a park and take out the garbages, clean up, all that sort of good stuff. But during our regular operations season, we have lifeguards, we've got building attendants, we've got cashiers, we have cart drivers down there. So we are primarily staffed with high schoolers and college kids. So they're around in the summer. They go back to school pretty early in August. So that makes a little more challenging in August to staff the facility. So we do reduce our hours during the weekdays once we kind of get to middle of August, but try to keep those weekend days guarded as best as possible, because those are really our busy time. To get to the beach, we've already talked about it, but we've got two options. We have the pass, which is you buy for $38 as a resident and $76 as a non-resident. And then we have the daily fee. So that's $12 and $24, depending if you're a resident or not. There is also options for guest passes. The break even for visiting the beach as a pass holder is 3 visits. So it's a really great deal for residents and non-residents. So you do get to bring guests at a pretty reasonable fee, depending on who you are. We also have an agreement with Northbrook. So Northbrook gives us resident rates at their 2 swimming pools, their dog park, and they allow our staff to use their facility to train our lifeguards at the beginning of the season. In return, they get resident rates for our beach passes and for our sailing classes. So it's a really, really good deal for both communities. We don't have to build a pool. They don't have to build a beach or have a beach. So it works out very well. So one thing to note, though, daily fees are not accessible on weekends, before noon, or on holidays. So things like Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, they don't get access to the beach. So they'd have to either buy a pass or come with somebody who has a pass as their guest. We do sell quite a lot of beach passes every year, about just over 6,000, and that's been pretty consistent. We changed that in COVID because people obviously were concerned about social distancing and density at the beach. And from a financial perspective too, it worked out pretty well because people bought more passes. People who also buy passes tend to take care of the beach a lot more than people who may be visiting for the day. We do offer opportunities for people who have financial restrictions through our library program, the Explore More Illinois program, and through our legislator's office. So people can check passes out from those offices or from the libraries once a year for free for a family of up to 6. So it's a great opportunity for somebody who can't necessarily afford to go to buy passes, and it gives them an opportunity to access the beach. We do have about 25 to 30,000 visits, paid visits per year. So it is pretty significant. Those majority happen in July and August. So we're coming up on our busy days. There's a huge correlation, obviously, between weather and attendance. We don't put guards on if it's in the middle 60s in temperature. But once we start getting into the mid 70s to 80s, attendance really skyrockets. So we're very limited, though, to try to keep our finances under control when the weather's not great. A couple of other things to note. We do test the water for bacteria daily in line with what the state asks us to do. We do it daily to be transparent so people know what the water conditions. We notice, though, when there's high waves and when there's a lot of runoff water from a lot of rain, we get high bacteria days because it obviously washes into the water where we test. Also, when the water warms up, it gets a lot more bacteria growing in it. So it does us we don't enjoy closing the water, but it's a safety matter, and we have to do that when it's over 235 bits per million. We also offer rentals with umbrellas, chairs, sailboats, kayaks, paddles at the beach, and then we also offer some small concessions. One of the main concerns with people who go to the beach is they'd love more restaurants, larger concessions. Financially, that's not very viable down there, given the seasonality of it, the weather restrictions, and just the pure volume of people who attend the beach. Believe it or not, it's not as many as you think. For a concessionaire to make money, you'd probably need 1,500 to 2,000 people a day. The board, over the last number of 10 years, have decided not to subsidize concessions, because if we were to offer concessions, it would be pretty significant subsidy every year. In terms of the boating side, that season is mid-May to mid-October. The main programs we have down there is the sailing classes, and then we have a very large sailing and aquatics program, which we started 7 or 8 years ago, which does very well. In terms of the operations, we have boat guards and managers. Their job is to assist boaters with getting their equipment to the shoreline, maybe towing them in no wind. It's really important to stress that we're not a rescue service. our staff that we're hiring, they're not experienced boaters. We train them. They go through U.S. powerboat certifications. They go through the state license, but they're not the Coast Guard. They're not, Baywatch. So we'd be very careful about what we promise. And there's been a shift, trying to shift the culture down there from we're not a rescue service going out in crazy Black Flag days to we can assist you if maybe your mast comes down or you get stuck with no wind. And if we can see you, we can help you. But if there's danger or there's challenging conditions, we call the Coast Guard, we call 911. Obviously, the big operation down there is the storage. So we offer racks and sand spots. We have 220 different sand or rack spots for kayaks, paddleboards, and sailboats. And we also have lockers and sail tubes for those. You may have heard that we have an extensive wait list. We've been doing a really good job of narrowing that down, improving transparency. That's now all available online on our website. We have 22 paddleboarders and kayakers that are residents on the wait list, down from about 100, 4 or 5 during COVID. So we've done a really good job on that. And then we have 6 sand spots on the wait list. So we have to balance between enough shoreline space, safety, where we're going to put all this. So it's just as you get more familiar with the conversations around the beach, we're just trying to balance all that.
Can I ask how you reduced that?
Oh, sorry.
How did you reduce the numbers so well?
So it's a great question. So obviously natural attrition has been a way. We also didn't have a wait list up until 4 or 5 years ago. So people had multiple vessels, multiple boats and paddleboards. So we removed the financial incentive to have multiple. We removed discounts, made people pay for what they used. And a lot of them started to give up those second and third spots, which has really helped. And we added some additional racks where we could as well. Safety is obviously the high importance down there. Boating on Lake Michigan. Anyone who knows Lake Michigan, they hear it about every year. It's a dangerous place, so safety is front of mind on everything. Children's Circle, that's our year-round, full-day preschool. There's no summer breaks. It operates 50 weeks a year. We have 2 different tracks. We have an extended day, which is 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., so a very long day for the kiddos. And then we have a new track, which is starting in September, which is 2 classrooms from 8:30 to 5:30. The reason we did that is staffing. There's a pretty significant challenge in staffing early childhood in the last 4 or 5 years. So with the way our ratios are through DCFS, that's the most economical way of staffing those classrooms successfully and actually keeping them open. So we made the decision to shorten those days for those 2 classes to add that capacity. Plus, we also noticed parents were shortening their day. So we saw they were all coming between 8:30 and 9 and picking up between 5 and 5:30. So that's why we added those extra classrooms, and they start in September. We take kiddos from 6 weeks old up to just starting kindergarten. We just graduated the last class on Friday, which are going into kindergarten starting in the fall. We have about 130 kids starting this fall, and we do have a wait list. Unfortunately, it's quite challenging to add those spaces. Those are licensed classrooms. They have to have specific bathrooms, sizes, cots, and we just don't have those extra classrooms in the building, let alone finding staff. As I said, we are licensed through the state of Illinois. So DCFS, they give us all of the licensing standards that we are required to follow. It's a pretty significant book of about 200 pages, and that's kind of our guiding star for everything that we do. We also have an organization called GJK, if you're not aware of them. GJK, Glencoe Junior Kindergarten, offers a half-day program. They've been around, I think, 80-something years. They're a nonprofit, but they also lease space for classrooms in our building and offer 2s, 3s, and 4s half-day programming. Camp is very large for us in the summer. That's one of our main operations. It runs 8 weeks, just started on Monday and goes through August 8th. We have half-day options, full-day options, extended day options. Our extended day options, that kind of 7 to 6, is extremely large and has grown very significant. I think there's almost 70 kids in before care. I mean, they're getting here between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. Very large, given what's going on with the community with parents, most of them double income households these days. We have it's probably closer to 1,700 enrollments when you look at all of our programs. About 700 individuals in our camps. So it's pretty large. Camp has probably tripled since Lisa and I started here. So we're very proud of that. It's kind of like our go-to for Glencoe families. We have about 70 seasonal staff. It's a great opportunity to develop and to train our teens and our community members. We were just talking the other day, the difference between a camper, a counselor, when they start with us in June and when they finish with us in August is pretty significant. It's really great to see. So not only are we working with our youth and preschool, we're working with our teens too. Our focus is, and that was with the camps, is play, friendship building. You will hear about this, but we don't offer friendship requests because we think the reason you should go to camp is to make new friends and to new experiences. And we also get quite a lot of unfriend requests where people don't want to be with each other. So it's quite difficult to manage that and then develop new skills. We offer some other programs in the summer. It tends to be quieter than the other times of the year. So ceramics offers weekly classes and workshops. Fitness classes run every day, if not multiple a day. We youth and adult tennises are pretty popular in the summer, and so is pickleball, as you probably already know. It's a very fast-growing sport with increasing popularity. Lisa already talked about, we have some summer events coming up. July 3rd and 4th is our big festival. Obviously, Lisa mentioned what we're doing for that. The beach campout is also a favorite. It's one of the community's favorite events, and the feedback from it is superb every year. And then we have other events like Unplug Illinois Day, which encourages people to stay away from computers, phones. We're doing a climbing wall in Lakefront Park, hopefully get a nice view of the lake. So we'll offer that free to the community. We do some movies. We do Tots and Tunes, which is where we have performers come to the Take-Off Center on the front lawn. We had one this morning. It was really, really great. And then we had Train Day a couple of weeks ago. So we have a lot of community events throughout the summer. So that's just a brief highlight of all we've going on this summer. Happy to answer any questions. Kyle, you're up.
Thank you, Bobby. Good evening, everyone. So much like the Recreation Department, summer is also an extremely busy time of the year for the Parks Department. So kind of just put together the 5 or 6 really highest focused areas during the summer months of the parks operations, primarily focused around the Parks Department. The facilities team, their duties typically any time of the year are somewhat similar, being inside the building walls, but the parks definitely have a heightened level of responsibilities this time of year. And so that's carried out by Parks Manager, his 6 full-time staff, and 2 summer seasonals. So the first area of focus is just talking about our turf care and weed control. Turf management's a major, really spring to fall operation. We have 99 acres of our own parkland that need to be mowed and maintained, as well as the Village of Glencoe properties. We maintain those as part of our shared services agreement. So we maintain their turf on their properties. In return, they maintain our fleet and our maintenance equipment. And so it's a pretty good reciprocal agreement we have with the Village of Glencoe, but a lot of space for us to take care of. We're typically mowing every site at least once a week. Athletic fields are mowed twice a week during the heaviest growing times of the year to make sure those fields are in good playable condition. Certain times of the year and certain events, we'll spend extra attention or extra mowing for certain special events, 4th of July, concerts at the park at Caulk, things of that nature. We perform our aeration and overseeding typically in the spring months. Weed control, both for our planting beds as well as our turf care, is another part of our operations. We do have an integrated pest management plan, which kind of guides our use of pesticides, which we try to limit. We limit that to rights of way, so sidewalk cracks and curbs, as well as some planting beds. In terms of spraying our larger turf grass areas, we keep that maintained to our athletic fields to make sure they remain in a good playable condition. And anytime we have, significantly invasive species moving in, we'll treat those areas as well. With any herbicide application, we'll always comply with any local, state, and manufacturer recommendations and regulations. To carry out these activities, we're typically needing 2 to 3 staff members every day, 5 days a week to man the mowing crew. Weed control, planter bed maintenance, those kind of vary based on the time of the year, the size of the project, things of that nature. And we're using all our large commercial mowing equipment, string trimmers, blowers, typical lawn care types of products. So a major part of our operations, really the entire grass growing season and into the fall. I wanted to touch a little bit on athletic field preparation, so primarily our baseball and soccer fields. So GBSA and AYSO are our two major affiliate groups for youth sports. GBSA is baseball, AYSO is soccer. We do have formal affiliate agreements with those organizations, which really map out in great detail what level of care we provide, what the expectations are of both parties, as well as the labor rates for which they're back charged for our work, in addition to fixed costs. Each organization has a liaison that are meant to communicate with one another to make sure that playability of fields are communicated. Any logistical concerns with scheduling are easily, worked through from both sides of the coin. We're going to have typical field layout for the soccer fields and baseball fields early in the spring. That can be somewhat time consuming. And then ongoing maintenance is going to be the dragging of the ball fields for games, painting the lines for the soccer fields and ball fields, chalking, as well as mound and batter box maintenance throughout the season. One of the big things really related to baseball and softball is communication when it comes to weather-related events. So typically the way it's handled is our staff will prep fields up until normal working hours. In the event of rain, we'll make a determination of their playability and whether or not we can prep them. If we cannot prep them, and it's up to the organization to decide if they want to play on the field unprepped. If the field is in such a condition that it'll be cause more damage to have a game played, we'll let them know that they cannot use that field. Staffing for these activities is typically 1 to 2 staffs per field or per day to address all the fields and get the soccer fields and ball fields ready to go, as well as weekend work for the weekend games. And as I stated, there are formal agreements for both AYSO and GBSA.
A quick question.
Yes.
Can you go back to the agreements?
Yep.
So when you say you have agreements with them, I'm assuming it's a service level agreement, but does that also include any cost sharing?
So they do cost share some capital projects. Actually, this year we're replacing the batting cage at Berlin, and they have funded that, and we'll manage and oversee that work. But in terms of cost sharing, so what we have a labor rate that's established. So we track all our hours related to field maintenance, and then they're billed twice a year for that labor as well as their direct costs. So any turfus that we purchase, chalk. Any requested items like pitching nets and things that they request that we'll purchase, we'll direct bill them back for that and the labor.
Do they pay rent?
Do they pay rent? No. For GBSA, they do not pay a flat rate per game. They pay their labor rate for hours spent prepping. KWBA, which is a smaller affiliate group, they do pay a rental rate for the field usage.
So our affiliates that are residents, they get the fields and they pay all the direct costs related to those competition fields. Otherwise, the fields are out there prepped at a recreational level. So when they play games and they want it lined and, turned up or whatever you call it, they have to pay for all those direct expenses.
So playgrounds, obviously a big part of spring, summer, and fall usage throughout our parks. So we do inspect our playgrounds weekly as staff is there doing garbage removal, cutting grass, whatever tasks they're at a certain site doing. They're instructed to observe the playground to look for any obvious safety concerns, broken glass, clearly damaged equipment, graffiti, things like that, and we'll address that promptly. We also have our formal monthly inspections that are performed by our trained staff. Those are a detailed checklist where we're going through each item within a playground, ensuring that things are secure, nothing's broken that would be missed by a casual observer, to ensure that those are safe for use. In terms of the surfacing, we have the engineered wood fibers or the wood chip playgrounds. We have poured in place rubber surfacing, and we have the artificial synthetic turf surfacing. They all require a different level of ongoing care. With the unitary surfaces or the rubber and synthetic turf, it's simply blowing off any debris that may be accumulating, making sure hardscapes are cleared. For the wood chip playgrounds, it can be a little bit more labor intensive, making sure that things are topped off to the proper levels, in particular under swings and slides. We want to make sure we have that proper impact attenuation if somebody's to fall off a piece of equipment, that the wood chips are at a level that provides that cushioning for impact. And then repairs and just general safety is when we come across an item, we'll look to repair it as quickly as possible. If it can't be repaired on site in that moment in time, typically a work order will be issued, and if it's warranted, we'll take a particular piece of equipment or a play element out of service until we're able to repair that correctly. And we do have Jared, our parks manager, is a certified playground safety inspector, as well as all our staff take the PDERMA playground inspection course, making sure they have that proper training to do the inspections and corresponding repairs. Garbage collection and litter control, not a super exciting duty, but one that's, critical to our operation, and this time of year is heightened just by the amount of use at our parks. So we do have all our parks with garbage cans mapped and scheduled for the garbage route. This time of year, it's 3 times per week. Later in the off season, we'll taper it as the weather turns, and in winter, it could go down to once a week. We also come in on weekends, both Saturday and Sundays, to do what we call our hotspot garbage runs. That's going to be the beach, any ball fields or athletic fields that had games, Friends Park, Duke Park, and I believe Woodlawn. So typically want to make sure those are hit, 5 days a week, including both weekend days, and everywhere else is 3 times a week during this time of year. So a major time commitment, but absolutely something that needs to be done. Really minimal tools. It's our new garbage truck, which has a much larger capacity, so it has streamlined that process. But general, liners for the garbage cans and pickers to police the parks and pick up litter throughout. Watering the plant material, another maintenance activity this time of year that can be quite time consuming, but is very important. So we have both our water wagon, which is a tractor pulled, I think it's like a 1,500 gallon water tank that'll go around town and spray all our water, all of our trees that have been planted within the last 2 years, as well as flower beds, any areas of recent turf restoration. Want to make sure that those investments that are young have the best chance to survive. And then as they age, then certainly in the case of trees, shrubs, and native gardens, they require less focused watering. And then when we're in times of drought, we'll want to make sure we prioritize those areas that are high traffic, that are recent investments, to make sure they have the best chance at surviving and thriving. And lastly, Bobby touched quite a bit on the beach recreation end of things, but it is a major, really spring into summer and fall operations for the Parks Department. So once the weather breaks in spring, it's really kind of at that moment, it's time to get things ready for the beach. It's a large undertaking with installing the pier railings, getting benches and picnic tables reinstalled, a deep cleaning of the bathhouse, the beach house. Getting all the plumbing turned back on, making sure nothing had froze over the winter, correcting any issues that we have, getting all our water systems for the spray features up and running. Beach grading is a major undertaking. Many times storms will wash rock and sand up onto the pier, so getting that all cleared off, grading everything to be nice and smooth on both the boating and swimming beach sides of things. Lifeguard items, boats, making sure everything's ready to go for that season. So it really is, with opening day being Memorial Day, usually we're out there starting in April, really getting things ready to go for the season. And then once we're open, ongoing maintenance is going to be beach grooming, typically at least 2 times a week. And that's the rock picker that we run through there to keep the beach looking and feeling nice and sandy on the upper portion and have it nice and leveled. Ensuring all the operation of our equipment, making sure all the valves and screens are clear for the spray features, blowing off hardscapes, making sure things are looking nice for our beach goers, and making sure our rescue boats are operational throughout the season. And all this takes a lot of coordination across the Parks and Recreation Department. That's a big thing. Just kudos. I know Bobby's team is constant communication to make sure that we're all kind of going in the same direction. And when issues do arise, we're alerted to them quickly and can address them promptly, and communicating as we approach beach season as we get into it here a little bit deeper. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And it was high level about some very specific items, but if there's anything else you had questions about.
I have a question.
Yep.
How often are our employees working overtime for this? Or is this I guess I was curious about the Saturdays and Sundays. Is this something that, and how many of the staff working during the summer are year round versus seasonal?
So we have 2 seasonal staff that'll typically be here from mid-May to mid-August. Typically college, high school, or college aged kids. And then in terms of the overtime, typically we expect during the baseball season and soccer season, baseball season in particular, that overtime is needed on Saturday and Sunday when there are games. But if we have staff coming in anyways to do the garbage, then they'll take care of the baseball fields while they're in at that time as well. So in that baseball season is going to be from mid-April to about mid-June, and then it'll pause and start back up in early September until mid-October, late October.
Question?
Lisa, I have one more question.
Yeah, please.
How's the beach store, how is the Park District store going? Are we
Oh,
doing sales?
oh, man, Erin's not here to give that.
Here,
I'll give
but
her,
There has-
Every time I go on the Park District, like there's all
yeah,
these ads for it, so.
I don't know. I do know.
There's been some sales. I don't know what the numbers are, but there's
Yeah.
definitely been some sales. I've seen a lot of the t-shirts.
Make sure she puts that in her
Yeah.
report next
Yeah.
month.
We're curious too.
Curious.
I'll ask her.
Okay. Thanks. All right, we're moving on to action items, unless there was for anything else.
Nope, that's it.
Okay,
Go
great.
for it.
So moving on, we've got a lot of these. So you guys are ready to motion and second? Because there's
These are all
quite a few.
discussing consensus, so there shouldn't be any discussion needed, but
Okay, so I entertain a motion to approve Chicagoland's paving bid in the amount of 249,000 for the Shelton Park Racket Court and Pathway Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. Okay. I entertain a motion to approve Hacienda Landscaping's bid in the amount of 127,848 for the Milton Park Playground renovation project as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve waive competitive bidding and to award the playground equipment purchase contract to Create Play for an amount not to exceed $81,000.
So
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
yes.
President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the revision to Conduct Ordinance 700 to include, in addition to section 3.14 on prohibiting e-scooters on Park District property as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve approval of resolution 977, a resolution honoring the retirement of Miss Rose Pepe after 18 years of dedicated service to the Glencoe Park District.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
Yes.
Commissioner, President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the 2025 full-time salary ranges as presented in the compensation study.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. I entertain a motion for the acceptance of the 2025 audit report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. And finally, I entertain a motion to approve resolution 978, bank depository relationship with BMO Harris Bank as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hazen,
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman,
Yes.
President Spain.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, that was a very productive evening.
Wow, that was great.
Okay.
I'm glad there's only three commissioners. Went faster.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to just figure out who was gonna.
Yeah.
You know, do the
We
motion.
sensed each other. We had to move.
Yeah.
really
Okay, and we don't think we have other business.
We do not.
Or a reason to enter into closed
Correct.
session. So I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Lisa, please record the time.
Great, 8:09. Nice job.